Welcome back to Edgework, presented by FanDuel as part of the Hammer Betting Network. I'm Alex Moretto, joined here today by So Money Sports to just look at tonight's games only. Doesn't matter what happened in the past. The past is the past for a reason. We are here to bet on hockey, not break down hockey games that happened last night. I don't care, So Money. I don't care about what happened last night. It's all forgotten already. Very in one ear, out the other. Might as well not even have happened. Yeah, I mean, you can talk about last night if you want. I have no interest.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I mean, let's go into the things that stood out, and we'll be quick on that game that you're trying to avoid there. Um, I mean, what stood out is that they couldn't finish their chances, right? And at the end, they had the Caps on their heels. They just couldn't buy one. I mean, it was tough to see, right? But that's playoff hockey for you. It can be very cruel a lot of times. I thought again, there's nothing in that game that made me think that Montreal can't play with this team. They can absolutely play with this team. Yes, Washington does have a slightly they have a slightly higher gear that they can get to, but it's not as if that Montreal can't play with them, and Montreal does get outstanding goaltending as well, right? So it's
That
tough,
second
man.
period, the second period was alarming. That
Yeah,
was not. You cannot show up in the playoffs and just take a period off. They've done that a lot this season, where like they find their gear and they get into that higher gear when they need to, but they coast through too many, like they have too many lulls in games. And to do what they did last night in that second period after a much better first period, and it looked again like, okay, here we go, another first period where they're playing better this time. They came out better, and then they take a penalty, and it's like, well, now we're going to go to the penalty kill. I'm like, is this going to be another, like, we're going to go into the intermission down a goal, but they kill it off, and you figure they come out in the second, they score that early goal, and then to just shut down the way they did. Now I will say David Savard should have probably retired after the game last night. Shouldn't wait till after the season. I don't know what the point of this is. I don't know if he's having fun out there or not. I can't imagine it's much fun playing 9 minutes a night and scoring on your own net. He was terrible on that goal. Him and Struble both completely missed their coverages. He ends up putting the puck in his own net after giving McMichael all day at the side of the net, basically kicks it into his own net. And that changes the momentum. A young team that gives up that goal, that gets the crowd back into it, and then they completely went into hiding. You could see they were naive, they were young, they were inexperienced. That really showed in that moment when they allowed that goal, because they completely switched off, and you could tell it was like, uh-oh. And they were not able to get out of that until the third. They needed that intermission. They just needed to get into the intermission in order to get out of that, which like a more experienced team or a more veteran team will not necessarily respond that way. So that did show there. But like, yeah, they came back in the third, and they had a very good third period again, and they almost, tied it. They probably should have tied it. Jake Evans off the post, whatever. But like, doesn't matter. You're not going to win games, especially as an underdog in the series. You're not going to win games not showing up for 20 minutes. And that's what they did. And that is not sustainable. And they do not deserve to win that game at the end of the day. They have to win at home now. That's it. They have to take care of business at home. And I'm confident that they will, at least in game 3. They will respond at home, on home ice. It seems like they're figuring a few things out here in terms of who should and shouldn't be in that lineup. Based on Marty's comments last night and based on how he shortened the bench in the third period, there were some very obvious decisions made there. And like, I think that we will see those going forward. The Savard situation is tough because I don't see them taking him out of the lineup. Honestly, pretty gutless by Savard to announce that he's retiring at the end of the year before the playoffs, because now it's like, you're in a tough spot. Like, are you forced to play him now? And like, are you going to like bench him for his remaining? I mean, that's the thing. It's like, you don't want to hurt 20 other guys because you're protecting the feelings of like an aging veteran who can't play anymore. Like, right. It doesn't make sense. He should not be in the lineup. They're barely comfortable putting him on the ice. When they do put him on the ice, he's been terrible. You got to get Jack Eye in there for Savard. Laine should not see the ice anymore. There's no reason for him to be playing. Whether he's injured or not injured, it doesn't matter. He's not able to give them what they need to give in this game. And you could see when Evans went up there with Demidov and Newhook, that line was way better. They got to play together in the third period. They had multiple chances. They were all around the puck. They had some good zone time. First two periods, the Demidov, Laine, Newhook line was embarrassing because Laine was atrocious. It just doesn't work. So you need to get him out of the lineup. You need to move some things around, get Savard out of the lineup. But yeah, going back home, I think they'll be fine. But ultimately, like, you're looking at a situation now where you're going to have to beat the Caps 4 out of 5 games, and it's not going to happen. It's very, very unlikely for that to be the case. I mean, yeah, you win both your home games, it's a different story. But, like, again, you have to win both your home games. So I don't know. Ultimately, like, I'm encouraged still about this team going forward, but there's too much dead weight there right now. There's too many weak links on the roster. And again, part of it maybe is coaching or part of it's just naivety and youth, but like you can't not show up for basically a full period like they did and expect to win games in the playoffs. It just doesn't work that way.
Yeah, and I think we saw that from Marty as well in the third period, how you mentioned with Laine's minutes being cut.
He didn't have a shift in the third.
Yeah, right?
In the third period.
Yeah, I don't think Marty cares about like feelings or anything like that. Like he's a former player that has rings and like he wants to win. So I don't think that I don't think that's going to be a concern. And I think he's learning as well, right? Like and he's getting there. So I think long term, I'm totally fine with this with his Habs team.
Yeah, they're getting some really good, like, they're playing through a lot of things you're going to have to learn to play through at one point or another, right? And they're just getting a taste of that. I thought Slavkovsky in game one looked timid around the puck a little bit, looked a little bit more uncertain and trying to force things. I thought he was great last night. He was probably their best forward last night. Caulfield was really good too around the puck, but Slavkovsky was awesome. He was winning battles right from the start of that first shift where he wins that battle behind the net with Chychrun and sets up Caulfield in the slot. Like, he was really good around the puck and really physical. So like you can see already some guys like starting to adjust to playoff hockey and stuff, right? But yeah, it's good that they're going through it. But again, you don't want to like you want to win some games too. You want to win some games. You're here, like let's make it last a little bit longer. So regardless, hoping they can respond in game 3. Other games last night, the Stars was a big takeaway for me. I was really impressed. I was really caught off guard. Honestly, that building was going nuts with Landeskog, and then he comes out first shift and hits Rantanen, and it's like they're going crazy. And the Avs were just flat. They just couldn't match the energy of the crowd. They couldn't. I don't know. I was just not expecting that sort of performance. Really, really impressed with Dallas and what they showed there. I added a lot of Avs series stuff after game 2, and I'm a little bit nervous. I honestly have to say I'm a little bit nervous about that right now, not just because they're down in the series, but because of what I've seen from them. They did have a chance to win it in overtime with Lehkonen. Misses the empty net. Lindell like gets his glove on it somehow. I mean, you're gifted that 4-minute power play. You got to end the game, and they didn't. And that's a veteran Stars team where you see like their veteran players like Ben Sagan, these guys who have been there before, making it happen for them. And now, like, Heiskanen's on the trip. Is he back next game? I mean, it's only going to get tougher from here on out, right?
Yeah, and the way that this series was going, I was expecting Colorado to be the team that gets incrementally better game by game, but we're seeing that from the Stars right now. The Stars are getting better every game, and it's really impressive because not only is Robertson out, but you look at the defensive depth that they have to roll with every game, though, like the 3 to 6 guys, right?
Yeah.
And that's tough. But they're doing it. They're figuring it out. I think that there is an element of Colorado not being able to step up their game, but Dallas is taking a lot of that away from them. So full credit to the Stars here. It looks like it's going to keep tightening up. We saw a very much tighter game in game 3, and I think that's gonna continue. And I think that these guys are going to be flipping coins the rest of the way here.
Yeah. And then one more game last night was the Kings. We got our Kings win, our 2-0 series lead. Very comfortable spot I think we're in right now. This Oilers team looks a little bit broken. I think they're going to go to Calvin Pickard in game 3, which I think is also a big mistake. And I think I'll be betting the Kings at some bigger prices if we get Pickard in game 3 for sure. It's hard to blame Skinner for the game last night. I mean, and we've seen low games from Skinner, but he's got a much higher ceiling still than Pickard. I think they're just kind of in scramble panic mode. They got some guys back last night. It did not matter. That was a great game from the Kings. Even when the Oilers made it 3-2, I wasn't the most uncomfortable. I don't know about you, but I still felt like they were in control, and it felt like it just didn't feel like that game the other night. It just didn't feel like they had McDavid and Draisaitl like down their necks, knocking at the door. It was a different sort of feel when Arvidsson scored that goal. I was still like, all right, like we're okay, like we got this. And yeah, ultimately they responded really, really well to that. They're like, not again. And yeah, they're going back to Edmonton with a chance to, honestly, as Connor puts it in the chat, they do have a chance here at the sweep. I really think they do still.
Obviously the sweep is there. I'm trying not to think about it too much. It's a very, very nice ticket, but I'm trying not to think about that right now. We talked about it the other day where game 1, the way that ended for the Kings and the way that the last 10 minutes were, and they were still able to pull out the win, that's something that the Kings needed in this series. Mm-hmm. And you're right, even when the Oilers made it 3-2, obviously you got two of the best players in the world on one side of the ice there, so you are concerned, but it didn't feel the same. You saw that the Kings, they just continued playing their game. You know that those guys are going to score. You're not going to shut down McDavid and Draisaitl. You're just not, right? But as you mentioned, after the first game, you need to win the minutes that they're not on the ice, and that's exactly what the Kings did, right? And even when it was 3-2, that's exactly what they were doing, right? So there was no change there. There was no panic from the Kings. You didn't see it on the ice, and I didn't feel it either. So the Kings are in a good spot in terms of going forward. We're gonna bet the Kings again in game 3. It's just you look at the pricing of the game. It's predicated on the Oilers won't get down 0-3, or they won't get swept, or none of that. But I mean, why not?
Yeah, right? Like, we're going to get an even better number, I think, than we're getting right now too.
Yeah. Like there's no reason for a team to not go down 0-3. And in many cases, you see teams with star players that do go down 0-3, or they do get swept, because those guys have been there and they know that sometimes we don't have it. Like we don't have it this year, right? And it's those guys that usually know when and it filters down to the rest of the lineup. So there's I'll be on the Kings again. The pricing it makes sense, and we just got to win 2 more here.
Yeah. Okay, a couple comments from the chat to get to before we go to tonight's games. There were a few that I saw here. We talked about Line from Sack. Would you say they're learning lessons, the Habs? Yes, I would say the Habs are learning lessons right now, but learning lessons as a, I know the satire he's asking that with, but learning lessons at this point is important. Learning lessons when you're, you got your core that's 28 years old and it's been there for like 8 years in a row is very different, obviously. That slap miss with the empty net off the post, that was Jake Evans, not Slav. That was Jake Evans, but yes, that was brutal. Connor says if we get a 6.5 against Saturday, it's an under bet. I really regret not pulling the trigger on that under last night. I never ended up getting in on it, and I liked it. I really should have. That was a mistake. Okay. We will get into tonight's games. We got some intriguing ones tonight. A lot of intriguing game 3s here with some teams backs against the wall. So we'll see how we attack those sort of games, and as well as game 2 between the Panthers and the Lightning. Before we do, the NHL playoffs have begun, and the Battle of Ontario is on and continuing tonight. FanDuel is your home for live betting the Battle of Ontario and other playoff series, with new features like live SGPs, build a parlay, any game, any period, or stack multiple matchups onto one slip with same game parlay plus. And what's better than playoff hockey? Overtime playoff hockey. Get more from the game with live overtime markets. Right now, new customers can kick off the season with $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Just place any $5 bet and you'll get $250 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Download FanDuel today and get more with North America's #1 sportsbook. Please play responsibly. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC, or 19 plus and physically located in Ontario. Bonus issued is non-withdrawable bonus bets. Risks expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-866-531-2600 or visit connexontario.ca. Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut, or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinma.org. Call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 sport in Massachusetts, or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY New York. All right, of the 4 games tonight, the first one starts at 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, and that is the Florida Panthers and the Tampa Bay Lightning. Panthers plus 104, Lightning minus 125, a total of 5.5, minus 120 to the over, minus 102 to the under. Interesting situation here developing with Cirelli. Cooper, I sent that in our chat yesterday, in our Edgeworth chat, Cooper's comment, well, lack of comments, I guess. He was asked about Cirelli, and he just kind of shook his head like he didn't have an update, but it did not look or sound promising. Not out there this morning, a morning skate. Sounded, I thought he wasn't going to play based on that, but then obviously Cooper comes out and says he's going to try and go in warmups. We're going to see if we can have him go in warmups, and we'll see if we can get him cleared. So not for certain that Cirelli will not be in there tonight. It does sound like there's an outside chance he plays, but if he does, I don't know how effective he's going to be. And when you take Cirelli and Bjorkstrand out of this lineup, this forward group thins out pretty quick. All of a sudden, you have Chaffee and Geeky, who does not look ready for playoff hockey, promoted up to that third line. You're forcing Gonsalves up to that first line. You're weakening everything when you take those 2 guys out of the lineup. Cirelli obviously does so much for this team. Tampa suddenly reeling here. Are the Florida Panthers going to strike with a 2-0 series lead here? So Money, or you think that we see the response game from Vasilevsky and this Lightning team?
I do think we'll see a response. I think that just like after game 1 of the Edmonton series, you got to look at what's likely to occur. I think it's a higher probability that Vasilevsky has a much better game, and he responds a lot better and up to his standards. Florida's a beast. Obviously, Florida's a beast. I think that it was a mistake. Kind of sleeping on them a bit. But at the end of the day, I still think it's going to be a long series. I did play Tampa Bay earlier. I'm looking at the market here. I had them up to minus 120 with Cirelli in the lineup, right? So it does change my calculus a bit here. So in terms of attacking this game, what I would suggest is that we'll have to wait until the warmups. If Cirelli does go, then I will still bet at Tampa. I will still bet Tampa Bay at the current number. If he doesn't go, then I think that there's value in the Panthers. So there's nothing I can do right now at the current market prices, and it's just you touched on Cirelli because we were high on Tampa Bay and their roster composition going into the playoffs, but all of a sudden you lose potentially 2 guys, and that changes everything in this series. So it's going to be tough for Tampa Bay, but I think we need to wait. And I would expect a much better game from Tampa Bay, especially defensively. And I think we'll see a more disciplined game too, where there should be less power play opportunities for the Panthers in this game as well.
Yeah. So I guess we technically have a bit of a head-to-head here. I played the Panthers at plus 112 after I saw the news about Cirelli, the morning skate stuff. Smaller play. I didn't get a full play in there. I was still unsure of what that meant for Cirelli's availability, but I do feel confident that even if he does play, he's not going to be at 100%. And that's significant because obviously he logs really hard minutes, and to be out there and to be kind of, hampered by whatever injury he's dealing with, that is going to be tough for them. I don't think Cirelli's value can quite be quantified enough because they don't have anyone else like him. And the things they asked him to do for them up front, they have no one else that can do those things. No one else can play that sort of shutdown role. No one else can kind of take those greasy minutes and free up, the top line for some of those offensive zone starts. I mean, the amount of D zone starts this guy has, it's very, very, very difficult to replicate that. And I'm not sure how that's like, aside from, Kucherov and Point, I think that's the one guy you really can't afford to lose. We'll see if he ends up going tonight. If he doesn't go, I will continue to bet more on the Panthers at one point. But right now, I'm kind of just like in sort of with a half play on them. And then, yeah, like you said, we'll have to wait and see here. I did want to get an under in this game because I do think we see response from Vasilevsky. I don't think we see a ton of offense. I think we see a much better defensive effort from the Lightning. But again, Cirelli does matter quite a bit for that for me. Like I can't bet on under if Cirelli's not going to be out there because I think that it's going to be very difficult for Tampa to execute on that defensive game plan if they don't have him. So if Cirelli ends up playing, I guess we'll get nothing else from me on the side. But I will bet some under. And So Money, you will be betting some Tampa up to -120 if Cirelli is in warmups and confirmed that he's good to go. Correct?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So that is how we will be attacking that game. We will move on to the Battle of Ontario, the Leafs and the Sens. Sens have run quite a bit this morning, out to -126 now on FanDuel. Leafs +105, a total of 5.5, -115 to the over, -105 to the under. So Money, what do you got for us here?
Yeah, I think that we'll see an inspired Ottawa team. I think that our former producer Zach is gonna be watching and a little bit annoyed with the way that this game plays out. Ottawa's right there, right? Like they were a little bit unlucky in game 2. I think they'll play a better game. Ultimately, I don't think they're gonna win the series, but I do think that they will respond here. That being said, I can't give out Ottawa at -125 or -130. It's just ran too much here. So I won't have a official play on this game. I do like the under, but again, it's already at 5.5. I won't be able to get there either. So it's a pass on this game with the expectation that, sorry, I should say it's an official pass on this game with an expectation that we do see a good Ottawa effort, and I think that Ottawa will probably win this game, but it's not a bettable number at this point.
Fair enough. You can pass. I will not pass here on the total, at least. At this point on the side, it's run far enough where I probably will end up betting a little bit of the Leafs. Nothing I would be like giving out here just to like have them at +112. I think it's +115 available. It's getting to be a little bit big. I still think Ottawa's really going to struggle to score. But what I do like here is the under. I really do like the under in this game still at plus money. I don't see how the Sens score goals. I really do not see how the Sens score goals. I think that's going to be a continued problem. If they are going to win games in the series, they're going to need them to win them 2-1. I think they're capable of winning them 2-1. Ullmark cannot play much worse than he's played up to this point. Not that he's like responsible for them losing these games, but like he's going to need to steal some games if Ottawa's going to have any chance in the series, and he has done nothing to come close to stealing these games. So I do think we'll see a little bit better from him. Leafs are still really struggling to generate, and now they're going to be able to kind of get that Pinto line out as they control the matchups, get the Pinto line out against the Matthews line, which will be very helpful for them. It'll free up that second line to play some easier minutes and get some more offensive zone starts. And that top line as well will get a lot more offensive zone starts, and you'll get them away from the Matthews line a little bit too. So I do like how Ottawa will be able to match up things a little bit here. Defensively, that should help as well. The Leafs haven't generated anything, right? You look at their goals in game 2. I mean, a weird one off a skate, then a power play goal that Ullmark pushes out off another kind of skate in front and bounces into the net. Couple like lucky bounces early on. They didn't really generate much after that. Didn't need to because they were up 2-0, to be completely fair. And then over time you have Batherson, who blind no look backhand pass across the ice and giveaway in the offensive zone, and then it comes back and he has a chance to maybe end Domi's season if he just lays the body there perfect, like that's what you dream of as a player, is you see a guy cutting across the middle like that, head kind of down, you have him lined up, you can absolutely rock him. And he just does a little blow by and just doesn't even touch him, and then the puck ends up in the back of the net. That's terrible. So yeah, I like the under here. I don't think either team can generate all that much right now. Even when Ottawa does generate, they're going to still struggle to score goals, because we talked about their inability to finish chances. So getting plus money here on this under is still good for me, and I'm good to go ahead and lock that in. We will move on to a game I'm very, very interested to watch here: the Knights and the Wild. Vegas minus 156, Wild plus 130 on FanDuel, total of 5.5. Minus 115 to the over, minus 105 to the under. Kaprizov put on a show in that first period the other night. But Vegas was, obviously score effects come into play here. Vegas was chasing, they were at home, but like Vegas had them hemmed in for a lot of the rest of that game. But then I thought the Wild did really well in the third period to kind of lock it down. Like the second period, it looked like the Wild, when they were defending that lead, they were on the ropes for a while. Vegas got one, and then you started to think, it could get a little interesting. Vegas got a second early in the third, and then Minnesota really locked it down. They did not give up much after that. I was pretty impressed. I'm not betting the Wild here because I still have some, vested interest in this series going a little bit further, but like it's a strong lean for me still at this number. I think we're still getting a little bit of market disrespect here on Minnesota. How about you?
Yeah, I've bet the Wild in the series. I bet them game 2. I do like the Wild a lot in this series, and I think as this series is progressing, we're seeing that we talked about in the preview show that the Wild that Vegas does everything the Wild want to do. They just do it a little bit better. The problem with that is that at some point, as these games go on, the little brother starts understanding what it takes to win, right? And they start emulating what Vegas is doing, and we saw that in the way that Minnesota came out in game 2. I still like Minnesota for the series, but let me ask you this: what if I told you 2 weeks ago that you would get a Vegas Minnesota game at a 5.5, not just a 5.5, but a plus money 5.5?
Mm-hmm.
Would we not have jumped on that?
We would have. We would have.
So
yes.
I did play this under 5.5 at plus money. I like it up to minus 110. I like it up to a flat 5.5. We know that Vegas is going to play better defensively, right? I don't think there's any question about that. They came out flat in game 3, in game 2, on the defensive end, and you could see from the body language on the bench and stuff that like that's not the way that they need to be playing. And so we know we'll see a better defensive response from Vegas. We know that Minnesota, they know they have to play a certain way defensively, and I think playing at home, they'll be able to get the line matchups that they need in order to be able to execute that. I think Gustafsson has been good. There's nothing I've seen that makes me think that that's going to change. So I think we're going to start. It's going to really start tightening up here. These two teams are really getting to know each other now, and they're the same team, except one has more experience. They're pretty much exactly the same team here. So I think that it's going to start getting very tight here, and I think there is value on Minnesota. I would like to bet them, but the number is not there for me yet right now. So I will pass on the side. We'll cheer for the Wild, and we have the under 5.5.
Yeah, I bet the under as well. I do think that the first 2 games were played a little bit more high event than you would expect between these two teams, and it has been a higher event series at 5-on-5, but I think that changes significantly going back to Minnesota now, because now the Wild are able to control those matchups and control who they get out on the ice against, the Eichel line and the Hurdle line. And that's going to completely change the complexion of how this series is played at 5-on-5. So it is very, very important in at least, like, we talk about maybe home ice being a little bit overvalued and stuff like that, but there are certain cases where I think it matters a lot, and it matters for different things. And here I think it matters a lot for this total, because the Wild are a team that maybe they need Eriksson Ek out there against certain guys, and they need to get Hartman out there against certain guys. They can't get stuck with with some bad matchups, because that's when they kind of get him back. And now they won't be able to, now they won't have to do that. I got to say, I really love how Hartman has played in this series too.
Yeah.
That guy he's awesome. Getting him out there with Zuccarello and Foligno, like they've been able to do a lot more, it's been a really, really effective line. I like this forward group. I like this forward group a lot. But yeah, I like the way they match up here. I like the under as well, getting plus money on this 5.5. I think we're getting a bit of a discount here just because of the fact that the two games 1 and 2 were played a little bit higher event, and they both did go over the total. But I think there's some reason for that, and we'll see a bit of a different game stylistically here between the two. So we will go ahead and lock in that under. That is the second under we have bet today, and now we have the Jets and the Blues, the fourth game of the night, fourth and final game of the night. Jets minus 115 in St. Louis, Blues minus 104. As the Jets look to take a 3-0 series lead, a total of 5.5 on FanDuel, minus 162 to the under, plus 132 to the over. We are seeing a lot of fives pretty much across the board here, which is, I think, fair and warranted and was to be expected as well. So anyway, you are betting this game. You think we see the St. Louis type of home game response in game 3 down 2-0 that as you expected from Ottawa here, just at a very, very different number?
Yeah. So I've got the Blues. I've got them plus money, and I think they're going to continue taking money here. Mm-hmm. It's this series is close, right? It's been a tight series. I'm not worried about Winnipeg winning this series. I think ultimately they probably win this series in 5, maybe 6, but I think that Winnipeg does win this series. But in order to do that, obviously St. Louis has to win a game or two, right? And game 3 is, I think, where they get it. I think that we'll see, similar to Ottawa, this is probably their best shot, and they kind of know it as well. The only concern I have for this game is that Winnipeg has all year they've defied these kind of scheduled losses all year. They haven't taken their foot off the gas, and I don't expect them to do that either. I just think that in Winnipeg these were close games, and there's nothing for me to there's nothing I see that makes me think that it won't be a close game again at home with St. Louis being able to match the lines better. So I mean, if it's going to be a tight game like that, and the Blues are at home, and we're getting plus money on it, I think that would be a bet that we need to make.
Yeah, I agree. I think this is still a very high character Blues team as well. And they've shown well in the first 2 games, given the circumstances, given the fact that they are the worst team in this series. The Jet, there's obviously a talent disparity, there's a depth disparity, all that sort of stuff. But the Blues have still shown well. They've been in both games late in the games, which is all you can ask for on the road. They haven't necessarily got the bounces. They haven't been able to close because the Jets the Jets have grown. They're a better team in these situational spots now as well. But going back home, I do expect a good response for the Blues. This series so far has been very, very similar to the Jets Sens series. To the Leafs Sens series, and you're getting, the same spot here for the Blues. Maybe the same gap in talent between the two teams as there is in Ottawa and Toronto. You're just getting a very, very different number here. Market support just kind of lacking for the Blues. For whatever reason, it's not lacking for the Senators. I think I didn't want to get on the Sens, but I do want to get on the Blues here at this number with you. So I am going to lock this in with you here. I think this is their one win of the series. I think they're able to take this game, and Winnipeg still able to kind of close it out relatively comfortably. So we will go ahead and lock that in. That gives us 3 best bets for tonight: the Leafs and Sens under 5.5 plus money, Vegas, Minnesota under 5.5 plus money, and then the Blues plus money. Nothing in the Tampa Florida game from us yet. If you missed that one yet, if you missed us talking about that one, a lot of it depends on Cirelli. If Cirelli plays, So Money will be on the Lightning up to minus 120. If Cirelli does not play, I like the Panthers here at plus money. I already have some Panthers under the assumption that either he doesn't play or he doesn't play at 100%, but nothing enough for a full play yet. And then if there is Sorelli, I will be on the under here, the under 5.5. So a lot of unders tonight. Hopefully we do not see many goals, a lot of great goaltending performances. So those are our 3 best bets here so far for tonight. Let's get an anytime goal parlay in here, which is going to be a little bit maybe tougher to do considering the fact that we like about no goals to be scored tonight. I don't know. Maybe we don't lock in an anytime goal parlay for tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, it's tough. I think we'd be forcing it. There's not a ton out there, especially if we think that things are going to start tightening up now. There's not much out there for me.
I will say, so we're not gonna lock in an anytime goal parlay tonight. I will say, FanDuel has a really sharp number on this right now on Gage Gonçalves plus 390 for him to score a goal, but there is plus 650, plus 600, and then plus 500 widely available on Gonçalves to score. He's skated with line 1 this morning with Kucherov and point. I mean, I don't know how you can't bet that. FanDuel obviously shading towards that now, probably a reaction to either some money that's come in on Gonçalves or the fact that he was hating on that top line. But I do like Gage Gonçalves anytime goal if you can get in at those like 600s or 650s. So that's one to keep an eye on. But that was the only one that really stood out for me tonight. I do like how Hartman's played in the series. I don't necessarily love an anytime goal for him though. But you're getting plus 650 for a guy who's played their 4th most minutes at 5-on-5 for them. And it's just, I think he's going to be deployed in more of a defensive role tonight. So I didn't necessarily think it was something I was jumping at, but he was another guy who somewhat stood out. Other than that, honestly, there was no one I'm really dying to bet here. I think maybe like some Sens second line stuff, the Batherson Cousins line will have some more offensive zone starts and they'll get freed up for some easier minutes. Maybe can look at something there. Last night, remember I talked yesterday about McMichael, Dubois and stuff in that line, some SGP stuff for them. The only good thing that came out of yesterday was if the Habs are going to lose, at least that empty netter, Wilson, Dubois, and McMichael all combined for that one to cash a lot of SGPs with like 1 second left in the game. So yeah, that was a small silver lining in that at least.
Beautiful, well done.
Nice. Yeah, that was somewhat nice. I would have taken the win though instead and lost all of that, but what are you going to do? So no anytime goal parlay for us tonight. I think that'll do it. Just the 3 bets. And nothing else so far. Did you look at any live series stuff or anything like that after yesterday? I just kind of sat through the games yesterday and was in a dark place after that Habs loss. I didn't get into much.
I looked at Colorado just to kind of see where they were being priced at, and I can't get there right now. Yeah. So I would need a little bit more on them. I still feel okay about Colorado winning the series, but I'm definitely less confident than I was going into Game 3. So that's the only thing that stood out. Like I've got Tampa series, Toronto -1.5, Minnesota series, obviously Kings to sweep, Hurricanes to sweep, right? So like there's a lot of and I was with you on the Montreal Washington over 5.5 games.
Plus 152 on that right now, FanDuel.
Yeah, right. So I mean, like, if you think that Montreal's going to win game 3, which I do think they will, then that number is going to start coming down as well. So I mean, maybe instead of betting Montreal game 3, you bet the over 5.5 for the series, and maybe you go that way. But
yeah.
So another one. Still would have needed a little bit more, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, and Charles there, Kempe, Conn Smythe. I did bet that, and I also bet Scheifele, Marks, Conn Smythe as well.
Scheifele.
Yeah.
FanDuel right now has Kempe 27-1, and Scheifele is 41-1. You still like those numbers?
I do. I at this point of the playoffs, I think that those are still a little bit too long right now.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. Okay, maybe Tyler Seguin or Quinton Byfield. Quinton Byfield 120-1. God, he's having a nice series so far too. I'm happy. He already cashed the 2+ goals in the series. That did not take very long. All right, that'll do it for us today. Leafs Sens under 5.5 plus 102. Anything plus money there is fine. Vegas, Minnesota under 5.5 plus 105. A lot of room to go on that one. And then the Blues plus 104. Anything plus money there, fine as well as our 3 best bets for tonight. No anytime goal parlay, but do look at some Gage Gonsalves stuff as he is skating on the top line for Tampa, and whether or not Cirelli plays will not change that, because he will just slot into that second line center role, and Paul will be back down to line 3. So Gonsalves is skating up on that line and will continue to skate up on that line. So another one to look out for there. That'll do it for us today. We'll be back tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Make sure before you head out to like the stream, comment, all that sort of stuff. It does help us out. Until then, enjoy the games tonight and good luck on your bets.